Hello, boys and girls. I'm back with another math video. So we're going to finish this week with solving two digit multiplication story problems using cluster equations. And in the last video I did for math, we talked about creating clusters. So this one is similar, um, and we'll look at a helper page so you get an idea of what will be expected of you. And remember that you're thinking about the factors in place value, using place value to help you split the numbers, and we'll talk more about that. Um, so you don't have to write the story problems. I have story problems that you will solve because I wanted you to see different examples of multiplication situations. A multiplication situation, if you remember, deals with groups of numbers. There's a group of something and there's a number in each group. And the group is whatever holds the thing that you're counting. And sometimes groups can be people or days. And like I said, there's lots of examples of multiplication problems, and we'll look at some of them. Your job will be to read the story problem and then type the equation that goes with it, and then type the cluster set. And this is an example, and this helper page will show you what your final product should look like after you finish the slide. So the story problem is written for you already on all the pages. This one, Mrs. Johnson has 45 bags of oranges, so that's how many groups she has. It's groups of oranges, 45 bags. Each bag holds 24 oranges, so that's how many oranges are in each group, or each bag. How many oranges does she have in all? So you would have to type the equation. Well, it's 45 times 24. And then the cluster set you would type, and remember I give you a helper. You should have 4 in all. Think of tens and ones. So 45 I can split into 40, and I can multiply that by 20. So I multiply the tens. 40 times 20 equals 800. Then I multiply the 40 times the 1, so 40 times 4 is 160. And then I take the ones, 5 times this 10, which is 20. So 5 times 20 is 100. And then I multiply the ones, 5 times 4, which is 20. When you're all done, you then write, your final equation. 800 plus 160 plus 100 plus 20 equals 1,080 oranges. And I want you to put your label here. Label the answer. So you must have a word at the end of your number. So that's what you're going to focus on this week, over the next couple of days. There are 8 problems, so I would split it up. Do maybe 4 and 4. We'll do the first 2 together. So if you watch this video, you'll actually see the first 2 problems done. So Jessica runs 28 kilometers every week, and then she runs for 15 weeks. How far does she run in 15 weeks? So to type the equation, I want to click on the blue box here. And you see when you see the 4 arrows, I just double click. And you'll see the little cursor here. Just move it right in front of the words there. So I know this is 28 times 15 equals something. So I put a little question mark there. Now I type my cluster set. So I click, so I see the cursor. Well, I'm going to use my tens now. I'm going to multiply my tens first. So 20 times, and what's the 10 in the other number? 10, because 15 is 10 and 5. So 20 times 10 is 200. Hit enter, and then it'll go right underneath. So I'm going to use 20 again because I'm going to multiply the tens times the ones. Well, what's in the ones place in the other digit? 5. So 20 times 5, well, I know that's 100 because 2 times 5 is 10. Now I multiply this 1 times this 10. So 8 times 10. And I know that's 80. And then I multiply the ones, 8 times 5. So when I'm done, I should have 4 answers in my cluster. See that? So that's all I put in that box. And then the last box, Oops, I keep doing that. You double click on it, and it says final answer. Type your equation. I'm going to hit enter and just type my answers in. 200 plus 100 plus 80 plus 40. And if I add that up, 200 and 100 is 300, plus 80 is 380, plus 40 is 420. But I can't leave my answer as that. I got to go back to my word problem. So 420 what? How far did she run? Well, where's the unit? Well, it's not weeks. You don't run weeks. You run, kilometers. So my answer is going to be 420 kilometers. So look for the unit that you're counting. Okay, let's do another example. Let's go to number 2. Mike read 35 pages each day for 2 weeks. How many pages did he read? One looks a little different. I got to read this one again. So Mike read 35 pages each day. So that's 35 every day for 2 weeks. How many pages did he read? Doesn't tell me how many days he read. Is it 35 times 2? He read each day. That's 2 weeks. Oh, remember, 1 week is 7 days. So 2 weeks must be 14 days. 7 times 2. So the equation is not 35 times 7 or 35 times 2. It's really 35 times 14. But it doesn't say 14 in there. See, this is one's a little tricky. The 14 is in the number of days. And how do I know that? Because 2 weeks is 7 plus 7. There's your 14. So this one, a little trickier. You could have done this. 35 times 7 times 2. And then you could have made it into 35 times 14. Because what you're doing is you're grouping the 7 and the 2. So when you group things, you put them in parentheses, like so. And that's where I get the 14 from. Okay? So now I'll use this for my cluster set. I multiply my 10s. 30 times 10. Most of you will remember to do that. That's 300. But now I have to multiply the 30 times this 1, 30 times 4. And that's the part that some people forget. Because you have to multiply 10s times the 10s, and then the 10s times the 1s. Now I have to do another set, but this time I'm going to multiply this one, the 5, times this 10. So that's 5 times 10. How do I know it's 10? Because there's a 1 in the tens place. Well, that's 50. And then the last step, you multiply the 1s, 5 times 4. And most of the equations are pretty easy because they have zeros in them. But you have to know which to multiply. And then your final answer, you just add up all your numbers. And don't forget this step because this is part of showing your work. And you get, let's see, 300 plus 120 is 420, plus 50 is 470, plus 20 more is 490. So 490 what? How many pages? Pages. Well, let's go back to your question. Okay? So that's how you're gonna solve the rest of them. There are, like I said, 8 altogether. So that's number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, and number 8. Go back to the helper page and watch this video as often as you like. And reach out to me if you have questions, boys and girls. All right, see you soon.